All right, so I got another video just going over some financial stuff. What happened? Sorry, let me jump back. The thought for this video came from something I saw on a Facebook post. The quote was nobody, and then it was like black women going to get a it was like, screw it, I'm finna go get my master's. But I had commented on that, not to be a negative Nancy, but I commented that black women also have the most student debt than any other group, and that although getting an education and stuff is important, you got to make sure you're getting it in the right line of work. And one of the examples I used was I said, don't go $40,000 in debt for a job that you're only going to make $48,000 a year. Now, firstly, if you're getting a master's degree and your job and your prospects after getting a master's degree is making $48,000 a year, you more than likely are getting the wrong degree. And not every degree is a good degree. That's something left over from, I don't know, the 90s or 80s or whatever. Not every degree is a good degree. And not everything needs a degree. Not everyone needs a degree to be successful. But typically, if what you did, like I know some people who got a master's in social work, and like they like when they got their degree in social work and they were looking at like starting at like $15 an hour and stuff, and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna get my master's and stuff, and like those positions don't really pay too well typically. So that's just kind of what is an example of like maybe you don't need a degree for that. Another thing is a lot of times you can just kind of work your way up in your industry, and experience is valued more than a degree. So like a master's, it could get you there, but also if you just worked and got experience for the 2 years that you were trying to get the master's, you probably could have just got that job anyways and saved yourself on some debt. So a couple of starting points. Oh, left my notes. Left my notes that I wrote out. Couple of starter points. So this will take into account, I got the average interest rate for a federal loan for anybody seeking to get a graduate degree, which is a master's degree if you don't know. Just move this. Which is a master's degree if you don't know. That interest rate was 5.28%. That's yearly. And I also took it at an initial of $40,000. That's what I use. That's what people say is the national average debt when you graduate college. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what I use. And the average time frame for getting a master's degree is between 18 and 24 months. So what you have to realize is that, firstly, if you got your bachelor's degree, there is a decent chance that you did take on some kind of debt. So I took on $11,000 getting my bachelor's degree, and so far I've had zero problems paying that off. And within less than a year, I think I've been employed for about 10 months. I've been out of school for about 9, and I've paid off about 20 to 25% of that. So no problems there. Now, what happens is if you go and get a master's, you don't get things like Pell Grant. You don't really get help from FAFSA or anything like that. You really only get qualified to get loans at a certain rate. You really only qualify to borrow money from them, and that's what your FAFSA is. So the average is that a master's degree program typically takes $30,000 to $40,000 at a public or private university, but it can shoot up there if you're going to like some crazy university where you really don't need to be at. No degree should cost $100,000. But I'm thinking that the $40,000 is more so towards the 24-month timeline, which I did use for this example. So while you're in school, first thing is you more than likely won't be paying on your student loans. Now, if you had a bachelor's, what they offered you during this time was loans where the government would pay the interest for you every month. So the loans never grew in value while you were in school. But with a master's degree, you only qualify for unsubsidized loans, which means while you're in school, this loan will be growing at that yearly rate of 5.28%. So I went ahead and calculated that out. If it took you 2 years to finish school and then start paying on your loans, that loan would have grew to that $40,000 initial loan would have grew to $44,000 and $44,335.51. If you took 18 months, it would have grew to $43,209.46. So a little bit of leeway there, not really that much. Sorry. What that looks like is if you do the 10-year repayment plan, which is what the government kind of automatically enrolls you in. That's what I had. My payment plan was set up for 10 years. Of course, I don't want to spend 10 years paying off $11,000. So I've been just dumping money in, and especially with this freeze on payments and stuff that the government has initiated due to the pandemic, it's honestly the best time to pay anything on these loans, because it is 100% principal and none of it goes to interest. So it's like you would be golden to pay during this time. So the first payment under that $44,000 after you started and you were paying it off in 10 years, what that comes out to is you're going to be paying $473.64 every month. And for the second payment, 18 months, you're going to be paying $461.61 every month for 10 years. So that doesn't sound that bad, right? Okay. The example I did use was you come out and you're making $48,000 a year. And a lot of what we do is think, hey, $40,000 debt, $48,000, and I make that in a year. I could pay that all back, and then I could just, I get that done, and then after that, it's just cool sailing. It's just $48,000 coming in. That's more money than I was going to be making now. No, because we typically have expenses. So if you were living at home and stuff like that, and parents aren't going to charge you rent, they're not going to expect anything, or they're going to charge you very little in rent, then sure, yeah, you can do that. But you also have to plan on living at home for like 10 more years. And this is as a single adult. This isn't like a relationship or anybody helping you pay bills or anything like that. This is as a single adult, which most of us at a certain age, we get kind of thrown out of the nest, depending on each household or whatever. Yeah. So what that comes out to is a hourly income of about $23.08 per hour. I did have to round up to the 8 cent, which is what the company would do too. But that comes out to a 4-week income. I do this a lot when I'm talking about budgets and stuff. I specify a 4-week income because most of us get paid bi-weekly. But if you break the year into 4-week periods, there would be 13 4-week periods. But typically our bills run monthly and stuff like that, so I do have to keep it at that point. But if I try to calculate the monthly income, it could be a little bit spotty. Of course, I could just divide by 12 and then subtract it out. If I did that, it'd be $4,000 every month. And then, you delete it out. But it's just kind of easier to budget things if you go by your payment cycle and not your monthly income, unless you are paid once a month. But I think that's typically reserved for people in the military. Stuff like that. That's a bit niche. It's usually weekly or bi-weekly, but some people do get paid once a month. That's called a stipend, though. Okay, so your income in that 4 weeks would be $3,692.80. We're going to take out taxes. I usually take out taxes at a rate of 20%. You might pay more than that. You might pay a little bit less than that. But typically what I saw when I was working, I was losing about 20% of my income to taxes, even though I was making less money than this. So taxes could be more, could be less. Not sure. But 20% is a safe number. So I'm going to say your net income after taxes is $2,955. And one of the things is, since the topic was towards women, but mostly everybody, one of the things is, once you get out of college and you start making a little money, you start to buy some of the things that you needed. So you may get a car because you're making more money. You kind of want to use it. Or if you're a woman and you're in this urban environment, uh, a lot of women are going to need the feeling of safety and being on public transit. If you're like in Chicago and stuff like that, like these urban environments, which is typically where like you're probably going to see some of these more income jobs like this that go to programs like masters and stuff like that. You're probably going to really be around here, unless it's like something that's general around the country, like social work, I guess. But yeah, but that's also not that, it doesn't pay that well. But anyways, you're probably going to get a car, realistically, especially if you're a woman. You don't want to be on a train or something. You do a 8 to 5:30, and then now what, you got another hour or something in transit. And then especially in the winter when it starts getting dark, and a lot of guys, they try to prey on women. If you're from Chicago like I was, you know that a lot of dudes, they target women as they get off of the train system and stuff like that, going to work. My mother and my friend's mother, they've both been robbed at gunpoint while they were coming to their cars just from the train area and stuff. So like women, and actually another personal story, about 3 blocks from me, this woman, she was getting on the bus to go to work at about 6:30 a.m. and some guys pulled up. A guy pulled up and tried to rob her. Luckily for her, she was a concealed carrier. She shot him. He died. I don't think the world really weeps over that. But one of the things is, to hammer home, women really do get looked at as victims and stuff like that. And when you're in an urban environment where more often than not the college educated are going to be at, you're looking at some realistic things. So let's say you get a car note. The average car note in the United States is $644, which I think is BS. I think that's like some Mercedes G-Wagons kind of knocking that number up. So I took a car loan repayment option that my bank was kind of like advertising, because I'm in the market for a car loan. And that was about $21,000 over a 60-month period. And I had a advertised rate or whatever of $355. So I'm just running with that. My example is that you're a frugal person. You're not normal in this case. Like you're way different from everybody else. So with that being in mind, look at this budget. So you're going to have a car note of $355. You're going to have rent of $1,000. That's what I paid about that when I was in the city. That's pretty average for like a 1-bedroom, unless you're going to get into a studio, and even that can cost you like $800. Unless you're willing to go to a less safe area. But yeah. Some utilities. Your utilities, I'm just calling rent, internet, gas in there. So we're going to call it $125. You can get some cheap internet. And some people like to pay $81 for some internet that they're just going to stream Hulu on, which you really don't need that. You have a food budget of $250 every 4 weeks. And I put an asterisk next to this. So the USDA has a thrifty single adult at spending $175.60 a month. So thrifty. A low-cost adult at $222.60, which is what I put that more closer towards that. That was just where my mind was at. This thrifty adult stuff, I didn't really think that was too risky. But I didn't know what I was suggesting was a low-cost adult. I thought it was like a mid-range adult. But the moderate cost is $272.20. In the liberal estimate, which is what they put, I'm not saying that, but like if you know the definition of liberal, you know why it makes sense. Liberal estimate is $348.80. So if you like to eat and you like to order out and stuff like that, and you probably order out once to 4 times a week, you're probably going to be looking more towards that $348. But that $250, take that out, and then you have $475 to student loans. The student loans that you have to pay over the next 10 years, what it does is it keeps your hands tied behind your back, because you essentially have to have $475 of everything you earn automatically taken off of the table. After everything like that, that leaves you with $750 every 4 weeks. Now, that is to include stuff like insurance. I didn't put insurance on a car. And if you're financing a car, I think they make you get full coverage insurance. So just to protect their assets. So that could be pretty expensive, especially if you're in an urban environment. But judging on like age and stuff, I would say it's fair to say you might pay $90 a month or more. I'm not too sure because I never had full coverage yet. But then you got to take out stuff like that, toiletries. If you want to go out and have like entertainment and stuff, like if you want to just go out at night, go see some movies and stuff, go out with friends and stuff, because you're still going to be young at this point. So this money keeps getting lower and lower. And then if you try to contribute to your savings, it's probably going to be even lower. It's doable. It is very much doable. But what it does is it kind of pushes everything else that you can have in life later on down the road. So like if you imagine if during this time you said, now I want to have kids, at least in that case you'd have a second income. But one of the problems is that some of these people don't really have a second income. They're like doing it by themselves. So yeah, and I said for this example, I would take it as a single income, but so you can't really upgrade too much in this kind of budget unless you're willing to like really cut back and make some sacrifices. This doesn't take into account gas that you have to put in your car, which gas prices are like pretty up now. If you were commuting back and forth to work and you had like a pretty good distance, you could expect to spend about $80 a week. So $320 a month if you were doing this. So that's not getting taken into account. You got clothes if you want to upgrade clothes that week, if you want to go on a trip later in life, or subscriptions. If you got a couple of subscriptions to like Hulu, Netflix, and all of these other things, Netflix just went up to like $25 or something dollars. So it really doesn't take into account all of those things. But I will say it is doable. But considering what you miss out on being able to invest more in the future, you miss out on being able to get a home sooner and build up your net worth. You miss out on things that will actually start building wealth for you and generations to come, because your hands are kind of put behind your back to pay this off. And this is all to make $48,000 a year. So you see how like this $40,000 loan, it's kind of really holding you back. And hell, what happens if the job market crashes and your job might not need you anymore? So now you're still on the hook for that $475. And if you got to go get something just to keep bills in there and you're just by yourself, you can't really go home to mom and dad and stuff like that, it really does put you in a bit of a struggle situation. And like even if you want to get married and your partner is ready to go and get a house and stuff like that, getting married can impact their credit score. If you guys are applying for this loan together and stuff, and you already got loans taken out, and you're still trying to pay for that, it can become more of a hassle than you think. So if you realistically graduated at 25, you basically have to have this little burden on your back until you're like 35, and it's all from something that you're not even using anymore. It's not like a car where you get to like get the value out of it every day. It's more so something that you are getting the value, but you're gonna forget about like really getting that value. So that's why I said if you're going to be getting a master's, and then like I mentioned earlier in the video, you probably took out debt for your bachelor's. So if you took out debt for your bachelor's, in my case I had $11,000 and I had like freaking amazing FAFSA. If you take out $11,000 and then you become like $40,000 more in debt, even though that amount won't be growing like the other one, now this bumps up from $40,000 to $50,000. And what that payment probably will look like, it'll probably push you more so towards $600 a month. I could punch it out, but I'm not gonna do it for the sake of time. I guess I'll punch it out. I'll punch it out. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, because those gonna have two interest rates. I would have to actually sit down and calculate this out, and maybe I'd have to do two and then combine the payment and stuff like that, because they have two different interest rates, and I have to get the monthly rate on that. No, so no. But yeah, no. If you're looking to get a master's in something, at least do it in the right field. You want to do something in like STEM. Not everybody can do STEM, of course. I mean, not everybody wants to do STEM, but getting a master's in a STEM field is more worth it, because what you'll find is, like, if you get a master's in statistics or engineering or something like that, you find that these higher positions will probably pay you well into the six figures. You can get there by just working and building up experience. That's why, first off, you shouldn't be getting a master's to make more money. That means that you picked the wrong degree as a bachelor's, which means you want to pick a degree based off, hey, will this give me my return on investment and satisfy me? That's how you want to pick your bachelor's. But let's say you didn't do that and you're getting a master's, you probably wouldn't want to do, like in the example I said, of getting a master's in social work. You probably would want to get, it's crazy. It was this one story in California where they charged somebody $100,000 to get a master's to get a degree in social work, and they were making $40,000 a year after that, which was like ridiculous. That was just being irresponsible and taking out money and just like, oh, it's all a dream, fancy land, I'm gonna pay it off. But yeah, that's it for this video. Again, though, if you're getting a master's in something, just to start paying it weller. So like if you were doing a STEM field, those typically around the 10-year mark are in the $100,000 or close to. But getting a master's might bump you up to where it's like $170K a year, or you up for director roles and stuff like that. Whereas with this stuff, if getting a master's in your field only bumps you up to, even if it only bumps you up to $55,000 a year, I don't really think that's worth it. But it's up to you. Everybody's their own person. But if you saw this, don't say anybody never warned you, because life can be a lot more expensive. That car note average is an average for a reason. So some people got more expensive cars and stuff. I was picking the best case, honestly, the lowest rate I saw. So yeah, but get out here and do it, people. Go be successful. Save up money and do all that other crap. I have to shave, by the way. See ya.